Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be reviewing and swatching all of my single shadows. I don't have a huge collection. This is not a declutter. There are probably some that I don't love and you'll hear me say that, and I'll probably declutter at some point, but I don't want to declutter any now. I wanted to do this video because I'm so into single shadows at the current moment, and I thought it would be fun to sit down and just hand swatch all of these or like wrist swatch them. I have done a video pretty recently on my channel where I'm applying a lot of these formulas, but then a lot of them I've gotten since that video, or I didn't apply them in that video for whatever reason. I just wasn't testing that formula. So this is really just a video to swatch and review, a little bit of rest and relaxation if you're into single shadows. I am so much more into single shadows than I have been before, so I'm definitely interested in hearing some of your guys' like favorite formulas. If I'm not showing them in this video, drugstore, high-end luxury I'm into, basically testing every kind. I like all different kinds, even ones with a little bit of texture, shimmery, one and done shadows, all that good stuff. So I kind of have these in order. This one right here is mostly my potted ones, so I'm gonna kind of just move them to the side as I have been doing in these swatch videos and just kind of pull them out here. I think I want to pull out probably my cream ones first. So believe it or not, I already started filming this yesterday and I was having such a hard time with my long nails swatching these. So we're going to do a little bit of a retake here. What I've pulled out so far, these are all of my cream shadows. Cream to powder, cream shimmer, some are like cream hybrids. Anyway, I thought we would start here. So I'll go over these Merit ones first. These are their solo shadows. These are a cream to powder matte formula. I feel like I have two of the shades that are probably the most popular because every time I try and look for these two shades online, they always seem to be sold out, both on the Merit website and then at Sephora. So I have Studio, which is a more taupe shade, and then Social, which is the mauve shade in their line. I enjoy these very much. I think they're a really easy formula to work with. If you're into a simple cream matte shadow, they're very nice. I find that the formula is very easy to work with as well. They give you time to work with them before they fully dry down. So they're movable until you're really ready to kind of stop playing around with them. I mean, they're kind of the equivalent of just a matte stick formula, if that's something that you're into, just in the potted form. And these also have really good lasting power. I'd say like better than a stick because they're a cream to powder formula. They're pretty non-budge, if you can see. And then once they dry down, they're pretty difficult to get off. I will have to sit here and kind of scrub this for a while. So if you're into something that is a pretty long lasting formula, these are really good for that. Then I have two that are more of a shimmery finish. I reviewed both of these just recently on my channel. These ones are from Kulfi. They have, I want to say, like a couple that are metallic finishes and then two of them that are shimmer finishes. I can't remember, but they also have a blue duochrome that I think would be beautiful to try out because these are a fantastic formula. I have Satara Sparkles and then Bronze Brocade. I think I said Brocade in my Kulfi video. I don't know why I thought the O was an A, or the A was an O rather. I think this is a tremendous cream formula. They have suspended sparkles in them, so they're extremely light reflecting. They're not the thinnest formula out there. They have a tiny bit of texture that they add to the lids just because they do have that suspended sparkle in them. But they're immensely light reflecting, which makes them super beautiful. Again, just a really nice formula to work with. Is similar to the Merit in the way that they dry down. They give you time to work with them until they fully dry down, and once they do, they really set, they really lock down. The only thing is with these, you can't layer them, so you kind of got to get like the application correct the first time, because once you start to layer them, I have noticed they tend to like start getting a little bit crunchy. They dry down to kind of that finish and they start looking heavy when you layer them. This one in Satara Sparkles is probably my favorite. I love this as a one and done. And usually, even though I'm using like a cream shadow or, you know, any kind of single shadow, I will wear it pairing it with other shadows. Not all the time do I just wear these on their own, but I have worn this on its own and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous just by itself. This one I have not played with as much. This is the Bronze Brocade. I don't know, Brocade, I guess. But this is a very like similar suspended sparkle look. You can see the silver or champagne sparkles in there. Super beautiful. Also probably a shade that would suit a lot of people. I think a lot of people would like this. I think this shade has a little bit of warmth though. It's very bronzy as opposed to taupe. They don't really have like a taupe in their line. I think they have, I want to say like an even deeper cranberry shade than this one, and then the other two are pretty vibrant, but boy, it is such a fun formula to work with. Then we have the good old Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize. These have pearlescence about them. They have a little bit of sheen, but it's kind of more in the pigment than it is like a suspended sparkle like the Kulfi one. These are really pretty. I like these. These definitely are more of a whipped texture and they take a little bit longer to dry down. So I could see them kind of being a finickier formula than some of the other ones that tend to dry a little bit more quickly. That one was Pillow Talk and this one is Oyster Pearl. This Oyster Pearl shade is kind of like, I think they're probably most popular kind of neutrally taupe shade. It's super beautiful. Both of these are really pretty as singles. I have layered these up. They're just different. I like having one that's more pearlescent, one that has sparkles in it, and then matte finish. I like the variety here, and for what they are, I think all of these perform really well. Watch when I try and take these Merit ones off. They're like, you really gotta, so super long lasting. I like that about them, especially here in the humidity, the Florida humidity. This next one here is a drugstore option. This is the Revlon Color Stay. This one is in Creme Brulee. It's also cream shadow. There's no sparkles in here. It just has kind of a pearlescent finish. So if you're looking for something really light to accentuate your lid, this is really nice. It's very smooth also, no texture to it whatsoever. It's the thinnest of all of these cream formulas that I'm showing you. Not a whole lot of like pigmentation, but if you're looking for a very simple, very thin formula to work with, it's nice. These don't retail for that much. I mean, in comparison to the other ones, this does come in a glass jar and it comes with one of those brushes at the top. It's mostly like lid. I don't know why they needed to make it so big. It's kind of the regular size potted product, but you really don't need a lot of product. I will easily let this go bad before I could use all of it. I want to say this also locks down. The Color Stay line, I think in general, has kind of a 24-hour wear claim. And does this one have it? Yeah, it says up to 24 hours right there. And I would say it does. It like completely locks down. This is again one of those like no budge ones. And I've had people recommend other shades to me that are maybe more suited to kind of a one and done look. I think they have some really nice taupe shades. The last ones that I have that are creams are kind of hybrids. These are from Jaclyn. They're their Prismetal Chrome Eye Mousses. So I think they were trying to achieve kind of a puttier formula that dried down. I think they missed the mark in here. It's either not creamy enough or it's too creamy. One of the two are true and I can't figure it out. They just come out like chunky. The sparkles just disperse in this really chunky way. They're just not tightly pressed. It looks like it would be really nice, like a really nice formula. These are fairly new to me. I used these for the first time in that video, testing the different eye formulas in actual application, and I just wasn't a fan. I haven't tried them since then, but I could see myself really decluttering these because I don't know, they're not an easy formula. The effect isn't really nice. They're awfully messy, and if I'm gonna go for something like this, I might go for like a loose pigment glitter or something. Even the ones from Kulfi I feel like are plenty shimmery enough for what I'm looking for without being a chunky hot mess. So these are not a recommendation. I would say like you could absolutely skip those and be just fine. I want to say these are my more affordable options. Not a huge ColourPop Super Shock shadow lover. I think they're good. I love so many other formulas kind of more than these. They are having a sale, I want to say, for like Black Friday, where these are going on sale for like $2 on their website. So like now would be a really good time to pick these up. These aren't super expensive anyway, and I have some recommendations of these 5 shades. One in here in particular, which I'll go over, it's this one right here. super beautiful, single kind of one and done eye look, but I think that they're all very different, not just in the color that they are, but also how the sparkles reflect and the base pigment underneath. So it's not as though it's just changing base pigment and the color of like the shimmer, it's actually changing a little bit of like the formula. So I don't find that I love them equally. And I think that's their intent. So it's kind of a hit or miss. I never really know based on shade kind of what I'm gonna get in terms of effect. I do like this one, I Heart This. This is more of like a gray shade, and I think that it is very pretty as a single one and done. Not my favorite, but it is pretty good. I want to say the sparkles in this one are a little bit more spread out. The closer and tighter packed I think a sparkle is, the more wet looking the effect is kind of how I view it. So this one, while it's gorgeous and has a decent base pigment, it's almost purple in person, but it looks more maybe gray on camera. I don't know how it's kind of translating back in the viewfinder. This one here is my absolute favorite. This is Ritz. This one has that taupey base, but the sparkles are so refined in here that it's so much more wet looking when it gets to the eyes, and the base pigment really translates. It's a nice taupey shade. I want to say it's probably more warm than just your neutral taupe. This has such a gorgeous silver reflect on top of that color though, that I just love this one. This one's a great single one and done. I of course have sparkles everywhere. I want to say I probably like this one the best next. This is Fine. No, this is not the one. Ladybird next. This one is just on the lighter side. I wouldn't suggest this for like a one and done, but I like how tightly packed the shimmers are, the sparkles are. It makes it look so much more wet looking on the eyes. I like to use this one in particular with another shadow. So like this is an accent on the lid, not something I would wear all on its own. And the other two I'm kind of indifferent about. I think Fine Pearl here is like a toned down version of Ladybird. I think it's okay. I don't know, maybe just a little bit boring. Yeah, just a little bit. The sparkles aren't as reflective. There aren't as many of them. It's more champagne than it is icy. It's okay. It's just, it doesn't pop as much just because of the simple fact that it's not like an overly icy shade. This one here I've had the longest. This is Birthday Wish. This one I don't know if they make anymore, as ColourPop does. Comes in and out with different shades. It's like a purpley shift. It's like purple sparkles. It's not honestly very obvious on the eyes. It's just on the lighter side, so not my favorite. I prefer all of these just a little bit more than Birthday Wish, but again, not sure you can even get this one anymore. These last three here are different, very different for different reasons. This one from L'Oreal, I cannot tell you what the shade is because they do this terrible thing at my local CVS where they just plaster the sticker right over like the entire label, which you'd think they would put it like here, you know, like where you could peel it off, but they put it on this like sticker on sticker, which makes it very difficult to get off. I don't know what they're thinking. So I can't tell what the shade is on this. It's just a really champagne-y color. And I don't know exactly what this is called either. It's just one of their single shadows. I like this one for, again, kind of an accent shade. This is another one that is very, very thin, like, where is it? I mean, the Revlon Color Stay. It's just in a powder version. So this isn't something that I can't get in like an eyeshadow palette. It's nice for a single if you're just looking for kind of a simple eye look and you don't want to grab for a palette. Something like this you could easily travel with, but this is just a powder shadow. There's no cream. So it's not that you can't get this like in a normal palette. And I really like this champagne-y color, you know, whatever it is. CVS, thanks so much. Then I have one from Flower Beauty. This is the Chrome Crush Pressed Pigment. I would say this one rivals my Hourglass Scattered Light one. I would say it rivals maybe my Lorac one. And I don't hear a lot of people who talk about single shadows talk about this formula. This one is in the shade Quartz. I think that Flower Beauty does a really good job on this formula. It's creamy and I think that the sparkles in here are different colors, and they're not as fine, maybe, as the Hourglass ones. So it doesn't look quite as wet. It just gives a little bit of a different effect than that, but not terribly dissimilar. Let me swatch before I go into the Ulta one that I have sitting up here. The Hourglass one in, what shade is this in? Aura, right next to this one. So you can kind of see like sort of the similarities, because Hourglass Ambient Light is like a talked about, not ambient light, the scattered light is a talked about single shadow formula. I just think they're very similar. They both have sparkles. The placement of the sparkles might be a little bit different. In the Flower Beauty one, it's way more numerous than the one from Hourglass, but they're very similar in that they have different color sparkles. Base pigment and then different color sparkles. I don't know if that like translates super well. Hopefully it's now focusing. But yeah, these are like all different shades. This one has all different shades. So yeah, I do think that the Flower Beauty one isn't talked about enough. Just kind of an underrated formula if we're talking about single shadows. So if you're into them, if you guys haven't tried them, I feel like you might enjoy them. This last one that I had up here was one from Ulta Beauty. They have different single shadow formulas. I feel like I have other ones from Ulta in here, but this one is the Lustrous Foil. This is in Silver Leaf. So this, I think, is an acquired taste. It's not exactly, I just bumped the camera. It's not exactly a easy formula to work with. I think it's beautiful. Once you work out like the chunks on it, I think that it smooths out. It's super light reflecting, but it starts out very chunky. Let me show you what I mean. So then once you start like rubbing this in, it kind of becomes this really smooth formula. You're basically breaking up the pigment, and then you're creating like this very smooth effect on the eyes. But it starts out pretty messy, and you really have to break this up once you get it to the lid. So it creates a bit of fallout. It's not as simple as, you know, like a ColourPop Super Shock that might give a similar effect. I think these are nice. Again, just what I consider an acquired taste. Okay, so this next grouping here, some of these are like luxury, I want to say like high-end indie brands, and then I have one kind of like pressed glitter. It's called the Bio Glitter eyeshadow. I would say that it's like more refined than a glitter. And you know what? While we're talking about like maybe the glitter, I'll pull these out. These are new releases. They came and then they went. I saw them at Sephora and then I saw them get yanked like right afterward, both from his site and from Sephora, and I don't know what that was about. I think they got bad reviews right after they launched and maybe he chose to yank them. I didn't mind these. I think people were pretty upset, I think, because they weren't expecting the formula that they ended up being. So these are the Make It Major multi-dimensional eye toppers. I got It's Giving Rich and It's Giving Luxury. They only came out with 2 shades and I picked both of them up. This is a loose eye topper. So it is what it is, right? It has one of these little stoppers. It's not meant to be anything but an eye topper. But I think people were saying like it was chunky, it was weird. Well, of course it's chunky. It's a loose pigment, right? It's just kind of like the Ulta Lustrous shadow. So they start out as little sparkles. And then once you, let me just kind of show you. Once you rub them in, that's what they look like. I don't necessarily think people were using these correctly because they're very easy to rub in and then they become a smooth, very wet looking shadow. So they're actually really nice, I think, if you can figure out how to use them properly. Again, kind of like the Ulta in that it's a loose pigment, so you really need to break it up to get it to smooth out. So you gotta work a little bit harder. I really didn't mind these. I thought that they were pretty darn cool. I think for what it is, like an eye glitter topper, like it says, it's pretty. It's not as tight or as easy to pick up because it's in this loose format. as the Ulta one, because this one's much easier to swatch, and so you get more of that glitter when you're swatching it. Like, you're picking up more of the product, but it's the same thing. And you know, you could even take this stopper out, which might make it easier for a lot of people, and you just pull it out. I don't want to break it, but pull it out, and then you could get your swatch in there easier. I don't know. I thought these were pretty good for what they are. You just have to set your expectations accordingly is kind of how I look at it. I don't know. I don't mind a loose glitter. When I bought them, I think that's what my mind was thinking. It's giving, what is this? It's giving rich, and this one is giving luxury. So this one is like more of a, I want to say like a silver shade, but same thing. You just kind of rub it in, and it's super smooth, and it is what it says, an eye topper. Now moving back onto the ones that I kind of set aside. This one is from Half Magic. It's one of their glitter pucks. I believe this only comes in one shade, which is Dopamine Sparkle. This was out of stock for the longest time, both on their website and then when they came into Ulta. The only time I was able to really swatch this was one of the testers in the store. So this is not a formula that I've applied to my eyes yet. This came back in stock on November 6th, I want to say, and I picked it up from the Half Magic website. I want to say though that the tester that I swatched was a lot drier of a formula than this. I think it had time to dry out. Upon my first swatching it, I've made such a dent in it. I've now swatched this a couple of times, but I did this right when I first put my finger in. I want to say that because these were out of stock for so long, that Half Magic probably made these and then immediately like set them out for sale. So they just are on the wetter side because they're new. I would like to see this formula dry out because right now it's extremely wet inside here. And I don't know if that's what it was meant to be like. I just know that the one tester that I swatched at Ulta was not this super wet formula. This is meant for face, body, eyes, all of the above. It's really pretty. It's just a little bit too wet. You can really feel how wet it is on your swatch and when you have it on your finger. I think it's nice, like the pink and the gold reflect inside of it. I think that is a really nice piece about it. I don't know if I'm gonna love this formula on my eyes for just how wet it feels so far. And then this one from Lorac is another one that I feel like not a lot of people talk about. This is one of their single shadows. This one is in lace. I've had this one a while. This one's gonna have to end up being decluttered because it's on the dry side now. I think it still performs. It's just not as creamy as it used to be. This has a decent base pigment, which I really like about it. And it has very fine, very dispersed sparkles. Super beautiful. It was always kind of on the lighter side. It doesn't have as much sparkles as the one from Hourglass, but again, kind of a formula I feel like is underrated. Not a lot of people talk about, and would say that it rivals the Hourglass, which gets a ton of attention. I want to say kind of a similar formula to the Lorac is the one from Phytosurgence. This is one of their Flash Fluorescent Single Shadows in Starlight Symphony. I've tested this, but I haven't had it in my collection an extremely long time. I would say though that I didn't give it the best review because it's so hard. It's really difficult for me to pick up any product. I think it's creamy, it's just hard. And I have heard that this one lacks base pigment, at least in this color, in Starlight Symphony, more so than some of the other shades. So I don't know, it's just a little bit of a harder formula. I kind of always feel like I'm never gonna get anything out of it. I know a lot of people love this formula, but for me, I've like dug in here trying to like pick it up. I just find it to be a little bit on the drier side, like more than I was expecting. And then I have one here from Ritual Defy. This is one of their Ash and Ember eye soots. This one is in Fauna. This again is a fairly new formula to me. Haven't tested this more than once yet. I know this to be like new packaging for them. Their other ones had a much smaller opening. These ones are bigger. I think these are really pretty. This particular shade, I want to say, is like on the lighter side. I don't think it has a ton of base pigment to it. It's very smooth. It feels mostly like powder shadow. I think it has like a little bit of creamier-ness about it, if that makes English sense. It has like a shift. I don't know if you're able to see it, but it has like kind of a silvery shift, and then you can really see that base pigment on the shift. I think it's really pretty. I, again, have only tested this formula once. I really like it. I think this is just a little bit different than some of the other ones. No real sparkles in here, just that really refined, like pearlescent shift about it, which is kind of nice and a little bit different than a lot of the other ones I've been showing you so far. And then I have two here from Victoria Beckham. These are her lid lusters. I not only just like the packaging of things, these, I think they're really good quality. My favorite is in blonde. It's kind of a yellow, well, it's not kind of, I guess it is a yellow color. I have talked about this, I think, many times on my channel. I really like when a single shimmer is yellow on me. I'm not sure why I do. I think it looks flattering. And it's, again, an acquired taste, I think, because not a lot of people like that yellow shift. I happen to really enjoy that. I will pair this shadow with other like mattes in the crease or kind of all over, but this blonde is so beautiful. It almost has like a blue shift to it. So it's super unique in my collection. I really enjoy it. But I also enjoyed the formula, not just the shades so much, that I ended up picking up another one in chiffon, which I think is more of a taupe shade. And kind of what I think people would enjoy more as a single shadow. I don't prefer this one over blonde. I just don't think it's as unique to my collection. It's nice, just again, not as unique. So it's more of a kind of single one and done, kind of on the lighter side. I think they're, again, refined sparkles in here. But I think the shade overall and the fact that it has like yellow shimmers in it just make it look a little bit more light reflecting. I have one formula here that I think is outstanding, but is not available for sale anymore. I ended up picking these up at TJ Maxx. These are freaking spectacular. These are from Jaclyn Cosmetics. I don't know what they're called. Oh, yes, I do. Shimmer Top Coat. But I looked, they're not available on her site anymore. They're not available on Ulta. It is a crying shame because I can absolutely get over the fact that whatever I feel about Jaclyn, because these are amazing. They're unlike any of the other formulas I have. They're creamy, but like rich in opacity and pigment, and they are some of the easiest singles to work with. They have the most smoothness about them for like this creamy texture. This one has like gold sparkles in it with a really strong base pigment, and the sparkles are so tightly pressed together and so refined. These look spectacular on the eyes, super spectacular. That one is in Glisten. I have worn this one all on its own and it is gorgeous. Actually, I think maybe no, it was this one that I've worn all on its own. I don't know if I've used this one all on its own just yet. This one is in Frozen. I don't know about the names, but here's what it looks like swatched. This is a gorgeous shade all on its own. Again, what these two have in common is really refined gold sparkles that have absolutely no texture. They are completely smooth and just immersed in the pigment. I thought I would talk about these or at least show them so that if you could get your hands on these, like they're sold somewhere or you see them at TJ Maxx or whatever, like they're so worth trying. I wasn't sure I was gonna love these shades because they're a little bit darker than I would normally purchase, but this one ended up being my favorite. It is so gorgeous on the eyes, you guys. And the formula is incredibly easy to work with. These blend out with a finger like none of my other shadows. So easy, so beautiful. Highly recommend both of those. Now this final set here, these are all from Moira. I have not put any of these on my eyes yet. These are brand new to me. I haven't even swatched all of these. These are called their Star Show Shadow Pot. I've heard really good things about these. I think Moira does an amazing job on their eye products. They have such an expansive range of eye products, and most of them I find are fantastic. I know they just launched some like glitter gels that I'm just not as interested in, but I've heard great things of this formula, and I have tried a ton of their others, the Lucent Cream Shadows, a lot of their like liners and things like that. So I wanted to give these a shot since I'm getting so into singles at this point. So this one right here is in the shade Quartz. This almost looks like the Victoria Beckham one that I have that has a little bit of yellow in it. Not as intense, but potentially just a little bit of yellow. These are on the softer side Oh yeah, this looks very similar to Blonde. Not as yellow, but it's very, very similar. Goodness, that's a really good dupe for that shadow. I don't know if I'd call that quartz necessarily, but I still love the shade. This next one is in Checkmate. I am swatching most of these for the first time with you guys here on camera. Oh, goodness gracious. That is stunning all on its own. These have what feel like super refined glitters in them as well. They're really smooth. What I think makes these different than a lot of the other ones that I've been swatching is that these are creamy. These have like a really softness about them. You could easily dip your finger into this pot and make a huge impression. It reminds me a lot more of this one than any of the other ones, the one from Half Magic. It's not as wet though. It's got a dryness about it that the Half Magic doesn't have, and I kind of feel like that's what this will feel like once it dries out, that I think it needs to, because these are such an easier formula to swatch. They don't feel kind of grossly wet, if I'm being honest. That Half Magic one feels a little icky at this point. This one is in Literally. I tried to kind of diversify my shades. I want to say this is more of a kind of bronzy tone. It's got a lot of sparkles in it though, so you don't see a ton of the base pigment necessarily when it catches the light. This one looks very, very bronzy. This one is in the shade A Vibe. Yeah, these just have like a powder finish to them, a powder feel, but they're still creamier. So they're like this perfect balance. And they're all extremely light reflecting with great big base pigment. Moira just spends their time, I feel like, and does their eye products right, and they're all affordable. That is the thing. Like, you can go nuts on their website and not spend a ton of money. Here's one that's a coppery shade in Showtime. Man, they're just like the perfect balance of creaminess and dryness. Those are so gorgeous. I'm trying to get the light to catch them. If I go like this, you can kind of see. I'm gonna have to wash up after this. These ones are really glittery, or they just leave a lot behind. And this particular one is not lining up properly, which worries me a little bit because that might dry out fast. But these all have stoppers in them, which is really nice. This one is a much deeper brassy tone. Ooh, that one is a special kind of one and done shade right there. Good light reflecting, but great base pigment. And this final one here, I want to say is on the pink side. This is in Eureka. I really tried to diversify what I was picking up. Oh, I don't know, pinky purple? It's hard to tell. Yeah, it's like a pinky purple. I think I did a fairly decent job picking up a variety of different shades here. None of them look repeated, so I like that. And the sparkles are just like numerous. There's like thousands pressed within this formula, and so it looks like this super wet effect. Just beautiful. So far, I'm really enjoying the way that these feel and are swatching, but I will end up putting these in a speed reviews because I have not applied them to my eyes just yet. I forgot to swatch this one from the last pile. So this one is the Bio Glitter eyeshadow from Lawless. I actually really like this. It's again one of those like loosely pressed kind of pigments that you kind of have to like rub it in and then it gets smooth. It's pretty. It's mostly a glitter, but it has decent base pigment to it. It's actually quite nice when it gets to the eyes. She, I think, doesn't make this anymore. I'm pretty sure I haven't been able to find this on her website. I want to say she has another single shadow formula that I have in here that she does still have. And I thought it was going to be limited edition, but she seems to still have it on her site, but she doesn't sell this anymore, which I think is kind of a shame. It must not have gotten like great reviews. I think it's really pretty. I don't find any issue with like getting the glitters to like stay on the eyes or anything like that. Kind of a shame that she doesn't have this anymore because I really enjoy this. This next set here, I want to say most of these are all like in compacts, not in the potted format. So I kind of figured we would go through these ones next. So these ones here, I want to say they're kind of like the more expensive. None of these are drugstore. I would say maybe only the Ma Beauty is kind of like the one I would consider luxury. They're all really different formulas though. Let me kind of just move these to the side. So this first one here is from Ofra. It's actually an eye topper. It's called the Sparklights Topper. This one is in the shade Glisten. I think it's okay. It doesn't really have a ton of base pigment. The sparkles aren't super refined. It's all right. It's not my favorite. It's kind of like powdery. I mean, it's nice. It has a little bit of a reflective quality about it. And they also have like a pink shade. I think it's good. Like it looks wet on the eyes. I just don't know if this is necessarily kind of worth the price point. Like I feel like I can get this effect in some of the other ones that I swatched. I feel very similarly about the Stila one. This is basically just like a powdered shadow. So I'm not sure why they made this formula in like a single. This one is in the shade Kitten. It also doesn't look very pink like the shade Kitten comes out as. Like my highlighter in Kitten is very pink. This is almost like, you know, like a taupey champagne, like a peach almost. Like this doesn't come out pink. And the Putty Heaven's Hue highlighter in Kitten, I feel like would have been a tremendous single shadow formula. This is just a powder that I can get in like eyeshadows. So pretty high price point. Don't recommend this. This is a fairly new formula to me. I've only tested this once or twice, so I'm not resolved in that review, but that's kind of how I feel about it initially. I have two here from MAC. One I prefer way more than the other one. This one is a limited edition for this holiday. This is the Sparkler eyeshadow in Zero Chill. This was kind of like a purpley shade. I feel like they came out with 2 or 3 shades. This again just feels like a super boring powder shadow formula, not super light reflecting, not a ton of base pigment. A little bit expensive for the formula. Just not an outstanding formula. This one, on the other hand, I really enjoy. This is one of their Dazzle Shadow Extremes in Disco the Q. This is a more wet formula. This one has more light reflection. It's just more impactful overall. I really enjoy this formula much more than the other one. I don't know if they were meant to be the same, but they don't feel the same. This one in the Dazzle Shadow Extreme is a much creamier shadow. And I like this too because they don't often anymore, it seems like, at least in their most recent palette releases, they don't have this shadow formula. They have a very muted shimmer formula rather. So I like that I have something from MAC that's a little bit creamier, a little bit more metallic, if you will. Speaking of metallic, these two from M Cosmetics, these are her Cosmic Pearl Dewy eyeshadows. I have Moonrise and Luna. These are very like putty-like, and they're super light reflecting. They're a very textured metallic finish. I don't really have anything else kind of this dewy and putty. So good. The only thing is the swatch is a lot smoother than it ends up looking on the lid. Because it's this really dewy formula, I can tend to build it up a little bit and it ends up looking a little bit textured on the lid. So that one's Moonrise, super beautiful. Almost like this pearlescence, so not really sparkly. There's no suspended sparkles or anything like that in that one. This one I had first, and it's what really made me fall in love with this formula. It's just super smooth, even though it's kind of on the dewier, wet side. I keep saying suspended sparkle, and this one from Ma Beauty, I think is just that. It's the Sparkle Balm, but it's supposed to have like suspended sparkles. Now, I purchased this thinking I could use it all over. It is kind of a product that you can use in like a multi-use way, but I think it's probably best as like an eye product. I was using this as like even a highlighter, but it's a single shadow formula. Little bit of base. It has that suspended sparkle in there that is more champagne in color than the actual base tone. So I love the way that this ends up looking on the eye more than the cheek or really anywhere else. And it has kind of a tackier finish, so it grips to the eye a little bit better than say like tapping it on to be a highlighter. So even though I bought it with the intention of kind of using it on the cheeks, I think it's way more suited for a single shadow formula. This one is in the shade M130. I actually really enjoy this formula. I think it's very easy to work with. It's super beautiful, like all on its own too. It just has that not too intense, not too intimidating base pigment that you could easily use as a single one and done shadow. And the couple of products that I've tried from Maw Beauty, I have been really enjoying. They even have a recent release that's kind of an all-in-one face palette that I thought about getting. It's maybe not my cup of tea, but so far everything else that I've tried from Maw Beauty and kind of their cream formulas, really, really good. And then here's the one I was talking about from Lawless that still appears to be on her website. This is the single shadow in All a Dream. It's nice. It only came out in one shade, so you had to like the shade. I think it's a really soft, very thin formula. It's light reflecting. It's nice. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I don't find myself gravitating towards this kind of like purpley shade, but the formula is fantastic. I love that I just said gravitating. Like what is going on? You talk so much when you do these videos. I'm surprised my words come out clear at all. This one is Space Cowboy in the Urban Decay Moon Dust. I want to say I've tried one other shade in this formula before, but didn't like it as much and decluttered it like a while ago. I mean, this is their most popular. It's really nice. I think, again, what makes this special is the base pigment. I mean, I think that's what makes a lot of these special. And when they can do the sparkle very, very finely milled and kind of suspends itself within the pigment is really what makes these really unique. This is very, very soft. I mean, there's no texture to it at all. So again, it's kind of in the formula, but you can do that over and over again. I think the base pigment just makes such a significant difference, especially if you're using it as a one and done. This has a very champagne colored numerous sparkle, and so I mean, I think that's what kind of does the light reflection well. Very, very nice. Enjoy that. And then this last one that I have here that I had in this kind of category was from Half Magic. This is just one of their eyeshadow singles in Carrot Queen. This is not a remarkable formula. This is kind of a basic shimmer formula just in a single, because I think, you know, she doesn't like do palettes or anything like that. So this is just a powder. This isn't anything I can't get in a different like palette that I have. I think it's nice, but I think it's a high price point for what it ends up being. Not a bad shade, pretty cool. It's kind of like yellowish leaning once it gets to the eyes, well, even on the swatch. But it's just not something that I would recommend purchasing unless you wanted to just include more Half Magic in your collection on its own, because this is not a very unique formula, just overall. So these next ones I would consider like luxury. These for sure from Chantecaille, but even from Charlotte, I mean, they're on the higher price point, or they were. These were limited edition, and so I don't know if she still has these pop shots available or if like all of the shades are still available. I think I couldn't find them anymore. So I think at one point this year they were still there, and then they totally went out of stock, or she just stopped carrying them, I want to say like a month or 2 months ago. So actually not that long ago, because I think these released at the very end of last year, if I'm remembering correctly. They're called the Hypnotizing Pop Shots. This one is called Lover's Diamond. Lover's Diamond is more of a coppery tone with gold sparkles. I actually really like these. This one is called Sunlit Diamond, which is a more gold shade. I like both of these. I think they're really good. I will hold on to them and continue to use them until they go bad. They're more of like a powder formula, but they have a little bit of creaminess to them, so I think they'll last a somewhat decent amount of time. I don't think they will dry out too quickly. Again, this one has like that gold sparkles. This one almost has more than gold. It has multicolored sparkles in there as well, which I think is really nice. Like they complement their base colors very, very nicely. Then these two from Chantecaille, I really enjoyed the Cheetah. When I first got it, it was the first one that I got. These are their luminescent eye shades. And this one is in, yeah, Cheetah, so it's a warm champagne. And I really liked how smooth and elegant this was when I tried it for the first time, but the more I get into other shadows, I realize it's a great baked formula, but so many companies do very similar, soft, elegant formulas like this that these retailing in the $50 price range is you're buying Chantecaille, right? So this one I love pairing with other shadows. I don't necessarily think you can wear this on its own. They're not super light reflecting because they don't have sparkles. They just have pearlescence about them, just a little bit of sheen. I picked this up because the zebra one, because I wanted to test a different shade in this formula. Not as impressed with this shade, so I didn't like love it all on its own, and I didn't really care to pair it with others because they're not as light reflecting, I guess. I think they're nice and soft, and I think there is a little bit of sparkle in them, you know, more so than maybe like the L'Oreal one that I showed you, but just not overly light reflecting. It's almost like the sparkle is the shade of the base pigment itself. So yeah, not as impactful as I guess I was kind of hoping for going in for the second shade. So these ones here are more on, I want to say, the affordable side. They're mostly on the affordable side. We've got the Sephora row, the Ulta one, and the L'Oreal one. I want to say like the L'Oreal is probably the most expensive, and then it would go Sephora and Ulta retail for the same. But I consider them more affordable than a lot of the other ones I've been showing you thus far. L'Oreal for drugstore is just on the more expensive side. So these could retail for about the same as the Sephora ones and the Ulta ones that are $10 a piece. This L'Oreal one is called their Color Riche eyeshadows. This one is in Pan au Chocolat, which is 207. I like this shade. This is like a really nice taupey pink. These Color Riches, compared to the other L'Oreal one that I showed you, these are creamy. The one that I showed you that was potted from them is like a fully powder. This one has a bit of creaminess in it. So if I'm going to recommend any single formula from L'Oreal, it would be the Color Riche eyeshadows. I think these are much nicer and much more light reflecting and unique to their line because they're like cream. So I enjoy those. One that I don't care for is the LA Shade Shifter. It's the duochrome eyeshadow. This is missing something. It's a powder, fully powder. This one is in topaz. It's like super dry. It picks up on a swatch okay, but it gets patchy when you try to apply it to the eye. It's almost like it kind of skips. I don't know if you see, once you start rubbing it in, all of a sudden it loses a little bit of its opacity and starts looking patchy when you start rubbing it in. Additionally, I find that once you apply this to the eye, it doesn't shift anymore. It shifts like blue to purple, like when you swatch it out. But once you get it to the lid, it's like, where did the shift go? You just can't see it. And some of my better shifty ones are smooth like this. And even just kind of looking at it up close, a ton of sparkles, but it's not like holding its base pigment. It's just too dry, I think. I think that's what it is. I want to say that LA Girl has, oh, I just dug my finger into it, has a pretty decent line of single shadows, and I have only tried this one, so I don't know how it compares to the quality of the other ones. I wanted to give this one a shot because it was a duochrome, but I just think it was a little bit of a miss. And then this one from Essence is their Soft Touch eyeshadow. This one is in the shade Champagne. I think it's okay. This one is the least expensive of every one that I'm showing you today. This one retails for $1.99, which is perfectly in line with what Essence does. But Essence makes some really decent shadows, like shimmers and metallics and foils in some of their like lesser expensive palettes. And so I know them to do a really tremendous job on their shimmers if they want to. This one is basically soft powder shimmer, right? Like very toned down, just not a whole lot of light reflection, something you would easily find in a palette and not like a standout that I would think to put in a single. I tried it, wanted to try it, tried it, feel good about it, wouldn't repurchase it. These three from Sephora are all from, I want to say, the same line. These are their metal effects. Sephora has like 3 or 4 different formulas, like a shimmer, a glitter, and the metal effects. And then those ones are, I want to say, like more on like the light side. These metal effect ones have a ton more metallic finish about them, as the name implies, and a ton more light reflecting. So I am partial to this formula over the other ones from Sephora. This one is in Oh Baby. And by the way, these come out too. So I learned this because someone in my comments had mentioned it, but I always had trouble like opening this top part. So this bottom actually opens. And if you want to, you can take these out of this component and put into a single pan if you did not like these, which is actually pretty darn nice for their price point, especially because these darn things are so freaking hard to open. I keep them in here. I don't really have many like open palettes, so I don't take them out. See how creamy these are? Oof, they're kind of like falling apart. That one is in Oh Baby. They have really nice light reflection. They're creamy and super smooth. This one's a little bit on the chunky side, like it came broken anyway. This one is in First Light. This is another one of those yellow shifts on the eyes, so I love it. Again, not maybe something that everyone would like shade-wise. I thoroughly enjoy it. Not as much base pigment, but yeah, still like really beautiful. And then this last one is in the shade To the Moon and Back. I want to say this is like a silver. I want to say the most soft, creamy. No, maybe the Oh Baby one is pretty similar, just a different shade. See how light reflecting those are, and just like fully metallic, smooth metallic shades. Very nice. This next one here is from Ulta. It's the Bouncy eyeshadow. This one is in the shade Buttercream. This is interesting. This is a little bit too wet of a formula for me. I don't thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy it. It's pretty good. It's a little bit wet and doesn't have a ton of base pigment. Again, could be the shade here, but it's mostly like really fine sparkles. So I don't even know if you can see it. Like it's just very, very light. And I think that it's too creamy. It's very similar in the way that it feels when you're swatching it to the Half Magic one. So I think these need to dry out a little bit. That's what I would like to see. Just not as much like whatever formula in here is really making these too wet. I mean, they are called the Bouncy Cream eyeshadows, so it's supposed to be a little bit of maybe like a puttier formula or putty formula, but just kind of like slips around just a little bit too much, and I don't love that. And I wish it would dry down just a little bit, but it's so light. I don't know if it was intended to be that way or if it's just this shade in general. So this last one here is a Lucent Cream Shadow from Moira. This is in Infinity. Very good, affordable cream shimmer. I mean, they don't have a ton of product in there, but Moira just does it, right? How many have I swatched like this that were in the $20, $25 price range? I mean, I think this is like $7.50, so you could really go crazy. They have really good base pigment. Again, the sparkles are a different shade than the base pigment, so they really catch the light nicely because they're on the more reflective side. Like I think these are silver in kind of a taupier gray shade. Super beautiful. I feel like Moira can't really go wrong in their formulations. Even some of the things that I think Moira like does that I wouldn't enjoy, I end up finding they did the best version of that kind of formula. Like their glitter liners, that's kind of weird, maybe a little bit easy to mess up, but I love them. They do such good formulas in basically everything that they come out with. So huge fan of them. There's only like one other person on YouTube that I really see talk about Moira, like kind of as much as I feel like I do. Now these next ones are a little bit of a cheat because they're not singles, but I keep them with my singles because they're duos and or trios. This one is a trio from Kaja. I use them like all on their own, so like that's kind of why I have them in here. I don't keep these with my smaller palettes because my smaller palettes are quads typically, so I keep anything that's like a trio or less with these. So I thought I would include them in today's video. Hope you guys don't mind. This one from Rose Inc. just won Allure Best of Beauty. This is their, I don't know, it's just the eyeshadow duo Satin Copper and Copper Shimmer. So it's their, I feel like this is a powder and then this one is a cream. So they're not both creams, but you're supposed to like lay one on top of each other, or you can put this in the crease. I don't know. The formula is just quite outstanding. They do a really good job on both of these. This cream is like a cream to powder. Pearlescent, like it has luminosity to it, and this is just basically like mostly shimmer. But both of these are beautiful. They're a really easy formula to work with. They're on the drier side, so they're not hard to blend in. They have good lasting power. They're really easy to work with. They're like beginner friendly, quite frankly. So I think these were a really good release from Rose Inc. This one is a duo from Surratt. It has a cream side and then a shimmer side. So it unscrews, there's your cream, and at the bottom here, it twists, and there is your powder shimmer. I think the shade is a little bit too deep for me. What shade is this in? I'm not sure I know what shade. It's the Prismatic Eyes. I want to say this is Neutral Eyes is what the like color story or shade of this is. So here is the base cream, which again, just a little, oh, I was off camera, a little bit dark, a little bit too deep for me. That's why I don't like reach for this extremely often. I reach for this powder shimmer more frequently. I like the way that they look together. I don't have much lid space. And so with hooded eyes, I feel like it opens up the eyes when you use a lighter shimmer or you bring a deeper shade above the crease and not just on the lid. I think people with bigger lids can get away with that. I don't think it looks extremely flattering for people with hooded eyes and smaller lid space. So for me, this is just a little bit of a deeper shade than I would like. And the shimmer on its own, let me just swatch it on its own so you guys can see, is actually quite nice. And a shade that I would wear on its own and have. I've skipped the cream and just done the shimmer. I think the shimmer is pretty. This one from Kaja, again, is a trio. This is one of their Beauty Bentos in Mocha Spritz. Again, too deep for me is what I found. So I don't really reach for this. I like to keep it, but yeah, it's too dark of a color story for something like that's a trio like this because I don't have a light option. I have one deep plum, one deep brown, and then actually quite dark shimmer. So I almost never reach for this. If I end up doing, and I probably will, an eyeshadow declutter at the end of this year, this might be something that I would get rid of because I mean, these are extremely creamy. Like they're really good quality. They blend super easily. I just don't like the way that it looks on me because it's so deep, and just keeping it for like this shimmery shade, not enough. Too deep of a shimmer for me. Not something I typically wear all on its own, but I have this too. Like if I wanted something a little bit deeper, I feel like I have this in other shades that I don't need to have this Kaja one. It's nice. I should have just thought better about the color story because quality is there. And then these last ones are duos from Hard Candy. They're called their Kaleidoscoped Baked Eyeshadow Duos. This one is Rock and Roll in a purpley color story, and Pickup Line is like bluish teal. I think these are nice. They're just a powder shimmer formula. They're nothing to write home about. I ended up getting these on Walmart online, and I'm pretty sure that's like the only place that you can get them. I don't think you can get them on the Hard Candy website. They're nice, right? Like they're pretty. Colors are a little out there. I guess I was thinking I would test the formula and see if I liked them. They're pretty. They have some light reflection about them. They're basically like softer shimmer shades. I actually liked this purple one the best. I don't wear a lot of blues on my eyes, so I was wearing this one on its own, and I thought that was nice. Here's all the singles that I have in palettes. 3 that are glitter shades from With Love Cosmetics. I'm like, where do I swatch these? Then I have some Odin's Eye, and then one other brand. They're the Cleona shadows, and then I think I have one from Unique Beauty in here, which is what is comprised of this palette. So let me swatch these With Love Cosmetics glitters first. I like glitters occasionally, and I think With Love Cosmetics does a pretty decent job. I honestly just never find myself reaching for them. I'm not really into like super gritty glitters that often. I'm not even sure what shades these are because they're not written on the back. I want to say that I prefer these other two a little bit more. Yeah, you need a real glitter glue with these. They're really glittery. I mean, if that's what you're looking for. This one I feel like is the chunkiest of them all. Yeah, That one honestly performs the best too. And I like it because it has like a little bit more silver glitters in it. I don't know. I would probably declutter these and just keep this little palette sometime eventually. Maybe when I do my next eyeshadow declutter, or at least this white one. I'm not feeling the white one. It's got the multicolored glitters in it. I just don't know if I'm reaching for something that chunky these days. It's like instant regret after swatching those. And then I have some ones from Jaclyn Cosmetics. There are two different formulas in here. These ones are more on the shimmer side and these are more foiled and metallic. I like them both, but I prefer the ones that are more metallic than the other ones. This one is in Amara. I think I like this one because it's like a really nice fiery orange shade. This one here shifts pink, and then this one is blue, and it is in the shade Smarties. I'm sorry, this one is in the shade Bubble. Here is Smarties. Smarties is actually really pretty, and I want to say a pretty unique shade in my collection. These are falling apart. I don't have anything this light, like aqua, maybe. I wanted to say teal. It's like teal, like aqua. It almost looks like the blanket behind it. I think these two. This one, again, just maybe too sparkly. It's like missing the pigment and it's all shift. So I don't know. These are really pretty if you're looking for something soft, but my recommendation is these foiled ones. Holy smokes, there's something else. This one is in Fire Hunt. It's a wet metallic. Love it, love it. Then this one right here, I want to say Fire Hunt's probably my favorite. This one is in Moonbeam. I think it's like a gold. Yeah, greeny gold. Actually quite green, but they're on the chunkier side. I just don't ever mind that. Like these rub in and they become smooth eventually once you give a little bit of elbow grease. And this one is a duochrome. And this one is in Butter Pucker right there. This one actually reminds me a lot of this one down here, which I feel like these ones that are more duochrome are a little bit more chunky and sparkly than they are with base pigment. And then these ones here in the Oden's Eye palette, and the majority of these are from Oden's Eye. I want to say these are still like in their permanent line. I don't remember what these were called. Jewel Shine eyeshadows, that's what it was. And they all had like female names to them. This one is in Olivia right here. I mean, these are really pretty. I almost like enjoy this formula a little bit more than maybe some of the shimmers that are in their palettes. That one is in Maya. This one is a like white duochrome here. This one is in Lola. I feel like I've dug into this one pretty hard because I feel like this shifts pretty nicely on the eyes. Yeah, it does. This is a amazing shifty shimmer in my collection. I don't know if you guys can see that. Like just how much it shifts purple to green, and it's kind of a white base. Super cool. I really enjoyed this one. Like I can tell I dug into this one pretty hard. This one here is in Samantha. This is chunky, but also very pretty. Similar to this one, but it's not like a duochrome. This one down here is a duochrome. This is just kind of a more foiled shimmer. And then this last one is in Eden. Oh, this is a smoother formula. I really like this shade. It's like this fiery pinky orange. That one is also a really unique shade in my collection. Super pretty. Those Oden's Eye ones, they have a tack to them. They're very creamy, but they stick really well. They have longevity on the eyes, which is something that I really like. They're also really difficult to get off on a swatch. They just perform really well, is kind of what I'm saying. So they're honestly like very nice to kind of have on their own, and I think still unique to their line. This one is actually a highlighter from Unique Beauty. It's in Grimoire. It's not a highlighter shade for me, so I moved it into the single shadows thinking I would use it in my single shadow. I think it's good, it's just really green, so I don't reach for it that often. It's smooth, it's a duochrome highlighter. I like it. I like a lot of Unique Beauty stuff, so I'm holding on to it, but yeah, I almost never reach for like a green duochrome like this. And these last two here are from Jaclyn Cosmetics. These are different formulas. This one is the Glitter Multichrome. This one is in the shade Opulent. The way she makes these is that they're more than for just eyes, that they are also used for, and this one says like face and eyes, but this one here even says lips. This one is the Series 2 Iridescent Multichrome. This one is in Luxe, and I think I said Opulent. So yeah, a little bit of a different formula in both of these. They make great ones, like that are super multichrome, and I know she has like the stained glass formula. Oh, this is so gorgeous. It's like a purple base with like blue-green shimmers inside of it. It is stunning. This one also, oh, these are just stunning. I should get more of these. Well, I have enough, but they're a very soft formula and they're not like wet or creamy. They're basically a really smooth powder formula. This one isn't a multichrome, but it has like multi-dimensional kind of like different colored shimmers in it. This one is a shifty blue, green, purple with like a white base. Super pretty, both of these. So this is the start here of all of my liquids, and there's a stick in here, or a couple of sticks in here. So I thought we'd start here. There's a couple of these little bins that have both the liquids and the stick formulas. So I'm gonna just move it over here. Again, I have the ones in the liquid here. There's 3 in here that come from a set that I don't think you can get anymore. These are from BCBG. They came in a set, but I thought we would, again, just kind of swatch them anyway, because there's a lot that seem to kind of come and go. That's just the way makeup is, and shadows in general. This one here is from L'Oreal. It's their Brilliant Eyes. I think this formula is really, really good. Kind of an underrated, under talked about formula from them. This one is in the shade Diamond Drop. It's not a fully smooth formula. It has a little bit of texture to it, but it's like that in between wet and dry formula that's like a little bit whipped that some of the other liquid shadows have. So it makes it an extremely easy formula to apply to the eyes and then dry down. This one also doesn't burn me. Some liquid shadows do that. They tend to burn my lids, and so I can't always wear them, or I don't find myself reaching for them that often. I think this one is beautiful, light reflecting, doesn't burn me. These ones from BCBG, I ended up picking up from Marshalls or TJ Maxx, so I have not used these on my eyes, but I have swatched these. They look amazing. That one is in the shade Bronzed. This one is in the shade Bubbly. I'm like dying to test this formula out because they look really opaque and they're very, very creamy. They're super emollient. I kind of worry about them, like the dry down time on these, or even that they're just so liquidy that they might end up being formulated to burn my eyes, but I'm still willing to give it a shot. This one is in the shade Magic. Look how opaque they are. They look delightfully stunning, and they have great light reflection. So haven't tested this formula, am dying to try it. Now this is one of my favorites from Moira Beauty. This is one of their super hyped liquid pigments. Now they have matte versions of this. They have sparkle finish versions of this. This is the extra sparkle. This is the one that is the shimmer. This is again like the L'Oreal, which is kind of a whipped consistency that's between like a wet and dry. Like just great dry down time, super opaque, very light reflecting because it has very refined glitters in it. Oh, this is such a good formula. Again, not a lot of people talk about this formula or in Moira Beauty in general, but this formula again doesn't like burn my eyes. So for what that's worth, if you guys have eye sensitivity, liquid shadows tend to just not agree with me depending upon how they're formulated. This one is the Diamond Days liquid shadow from Moira Beauty. Also very pretty. This one is very, very sparkly in eye contact. Okay, so this used to be one of my favorites, but it definitely has like dried out. I want to say that my daughter thought this was for the lips and she was like using it as lipstick. And so she definitely dried it out because I have not used it that much. I got a little bit of a swatch on it, but I'm going to have to throw it away. There it is there. I mean, it has like really good sparkles in it with a nice base pigment. The sparkles are thick. They're a thicker, chunkier sparkle as this like looks like in the pot, but I can tell she's grabbed this. I have another one that she's done this too, where she thought it was like for the lips. So, I mean, she seems fine. Can highly recommend this formula if you're looking for like a thicker sparkle that again, like does this thing where it dries down to almost like a powder finish, then it's nice. Also, again, doesn't irritate my eyes. One that I do not like is from ColourPop. This is one of their multichromes, chrome liquid eyeshadows rather. This even won Allure Best of Beauty. The problem is, I think for hooded eyes, this one is in Supernova. This is a good formula, like in theory. This is that, again, like it dries down to like this powder finish. But the problem is it lifts. Once you blink or something, if you're trying to bring this above the crease, once it touches itself, it lifts the product up. And so it will leave blank spaces on my eyes, especially because my eyes are hooded. And I love the chrome, like the multichrome or the duochrome in here, but man, it never translates that way to the eyes. It's just like fully purple. You just miss the duochrome about it. I don't know why that is, that it looks so much more duochrome in here. It just doesn't translate that way. Yeah, not a good formulation for hooded eyes. So whoever reviewed this and gave it a Lure Best of Beauty had a bunch of other formulas to choose from that launched in 2023. Even that didn't, if they wanted to. They did not need to pick this one. This one, I think, is absolutely a bad formulation for hooded eyes. So here's the last ones that are in the liquid format. I want to say this is maybe a cream from Give Beauty. I mean, it's a mousse, but it's basically a cream. And then this one's very different. This is like a chalk. Maybe I'll just move this one over here and I'll bring this one from Half Magic in. That's what I should have done. These two here are the most inexpensive that I have in my collection. They're the Eyelights from Relove. I like this shade. This one is iridescent. I don't love how sheer it ends up looking on the eyes. It has like a purple flip to it. And I think these are maybe a little bit too creamy and they have a grittiness about them. The sparkles are not super refined in them. Almost translucent. I don't enjoy it as much as this shade, which is in Queen. This one is in the shade Shine. Queen is just more foiled and metallic looking on the lid. By the way, these do not come with doe foot applicators. They come with little plastic paddles. So sometimes getting the product up onto this little paddle is hard. That I don't love about it, but I think they were going for cheap here. So here is the swatch on Queen. Just a more metallic foiled looking shade. So it's, I don't know, it's just nicer. It's more flattering because this one is more translucent than the other one. So again, when I do a declutter, I would totally get rid of that one. And then the two here that I have from, well, no, three that I have here from Stila, there are two different finishes. I want to say one of them is Glitter and Glow. This one is Glisten and Glow. No, two of them are Glitter and Glow. This one is Glisten and Glow. I think I like the Glisten and Glow better. This is in the shade Kitten Kaleidoscope. This one has really pretty purple and pink and blue sparkles. So I don't know, I really enjoy the way this one feels and the way that it looks. It's like light reflecting, but like not in a super chunky way. And these don't irritate my eyes terribly. Irritation like dissipates on these ones. I want to say with these, and I forgot to mention, for whatever reason, like this one irritates my eyes more than this one. And also they dry down, they get stiff. Let's swatch these ones in Glitter and Glow. This one is in Diamond Dust. This one is actually pretty. These are a wetter formula, I feel like, in the Glitter and Glow. I guess you kind of have to be. You're going to have like suspended glitters, but they're colder. I really like that one. I just prefer the Glisten and Glow formula over the Glitter and Glow because it's like, it's not suspended sparkles, it's like suspended glitter. So you can feel the glitter. And I feel like these have a tendency to like dry out pretty fast. I've had some of these in the past. These are a recent purchase from Ulta, but I've had them dry out pretty quickly over some of my other liquid shadow formulas. And these two here from e.l.f., fairly new releases. These are their liquid shadows. Liquid metallic eyeshadow, liquid glitter eyeshadow topper. So two different formulas. I think these are beautiful and I like the price point on them. I like the formula. The only thing is these burn the heck out of my eyes. So that's not good. This is super pretty. This one, like the metallic finish, I really enjoy this one over the glitter topper. This one is in the shade, oh my gosh, it is so small. How am I ever gonna read it? It's in Moon. It's like the smallest writing ever. I can't even read it. It's so tiny. It's just a silver glitter. Again, fairly nice for what it is, because this one has decent base pigment, but these glitters are a little bit chunky and it doesn't bother me. I think they're actually really well formulated. It's just that this formula burns my eyes. I can get over it, like the burn ends up going away. Then I have one here from Half Magic. This is their Chrome Addiction Eye Paint and Liner in ASMR. I feel like this is a pretty popular shade from them. I enjoy this formula. Also, smoother, doesn't burn my eyes as much. This is almost like, again, a multi-chrome sparkles about it. That's what this is. I would like to get maybe a different shade in this formula. One that I feel like maybe is a little bit more flattering than the shade. Not that it's bad, it's just, I don't know if I love blue purple sparkles that much. Like the formula though, it definitely dries down, so that's nice. And then this last one that I had up here is the mousse eyeshadow from Give Beauty. This is the Painted Up Longwear Mousse Eyeshadow in Top Knot. It's nice like on its own. I'm finding more than I originally liked it. It has, again, kind of a multi-dimensional sparkle about it. It takes a while to dry down though, that's the only thing. It does kind of burn my eyes also. I feel like sometimes the more liquidy a formula is, more emollient I should say, not liquidy necessarily, it tends to burn my eyes a little bit. And I think that's just whatever it's formulated with. So I like this a lot more than I used to like it. But yeah, it definitely takes a while to dry down. It's on the thinner side. So if you have mature lids, I feel like this would be a good one for you. Not one that I reach for like over other ones because it's not as convenient as a doe foot applicator. This last container here is the remainder of my liquids. And actually my sticks are down here at the bottom. Some of my sticks. I have some other ones that are like sitting over here, but a lot of the sticks are down here. So I thought we'd finish up the liquid ones and then we can go through the sticks at the very end. So these are fairly new releases from Moira Beauty. These are their multi-chrome shadows. I bought the entire set. I really enjoy these. These are, again, a formula that's more on the whipped side. So they have like a dryness about them and I really like that. Plus they don't irritate my eyes and they're shifty and the shift actually shows up on the eyes. I haven't tested all of these shades on the eyes yet, but I've tested like a couple of them. Actually, I think I've done half. And I have swatched all of these on like a short on my channel, but I do want to swatch them here. This one is in Artemis. I have so much glitter on me. I am so sorry. That elf one just like went everywhere. So that is Artemis. It's like a blue, purple to blue shift, I want to say. I'm trying to pick up the shift for you. And then this one here is in Estella. It looks like a green shift. Yeah, yellowish green shift. Pretty strong. This one in Sea Star is a purpley green shift and also pretty strong. These ones that don't have a strong base to them, they're more pearl or translucent, have a really good shift to them. This one is in the shade Prima Donna. I like this color, this like hot pink with like a greeny purple shift. I don't know, something about that is so beautiful. I'm not sure if I've worn that one like all day yet. Then this next one is Space Cadet. It's purple with, I want to say, a green flip. This one is not as flippy, but it looks green inside the tube, but not as strong on the swatch. Then this next one is Chameleon, which is like an orangey pinky green flip. Yeah, it's like orange base with a pinky green flip. They're really light reflecting too. They're a super easy formula to work with. So if you're looking for like affordable liquid duochromes, like these are ones to check out. These are like $8.50 a piece. Helios, which is like affordable compared to some of the other ones that I've been showing you. Plus they actually work. They actually flip. Helios is like the lightest, I want to say. It's like an orange greeny flip. And then this final one is so pretty. Oof. This one is in Jewel of the Sea. That makes sense. It's like a little mermaid. Oh, it's like a purple base with a tealy green shift. Do you guys like that sort of thing? It is gorgeous. It looks genuinely like a little mermaid. There's all of them swatched. Okay, here's the very last of the liquids. This one here is from Winky Looks. I found this on Ulta when I was searching for like single shadow, oh, forget it. Single shimmer shadows. And I found this one. I want to say it's pretty pricey and it's probably a formula that nobody knows about. This is called Bottle Pop. It's amazing. It doesn't burn my eyes. It's super beautiful. I don't think it's like overly textured. It's pretty smooth on the lid. It's very light reflecting. Very, very nice. Not too dissimilar to the L'Oreal Brilliant Eyes. I kind of think I like this formula a little bit better. I don't know, maybe it's just a little bit more smooth. That's what it is. Highly recommend this formula though. And then I have one from Juvia's Place, one of their duochromes, I want to say. What do they call these? The Culture Duochrome Liquid Eyeshadow. This one is in Fuji, I think it's called, F-U-J-I. I think it's pretty. Again, this is a very translucent shade. It doesn't have a lot of base pigment, so it's basically like a blue shift. I want to say it's pretty nice. This is a formula that burns my eyes though, and I would be interested in picking up different shades in this because as far as like a duochrome liquid shadow goes, this one is way better for hooded eyes than the ColourPop one. But for the price point, I think it's worth checking out the Moira shadows. This one here that I have is from About Face. This is one of the fractal eye paints in Tin Pan Alley. I like this. It burns my eyes though. I think it's really pretty, like the shade, the formula, it's kind of that moussey, kind of wet, dry texture or formula, but it burns, so I don't reach for it that often. And I feel like this one takes a little bit longer to dry down than I would like. I don't find that this particular shade, like it doesn't have a lot of base pigment and it's like greenish, goldish sparkles. It's pretty, but the burn is definitely there upon initial application for me. And then I have 3 here from NYX. These are their Ultimate Glow Shots. These are very opaque. I like them for different reasons. Like I will build a whole eye look like all over and in the crease with the more colorful ones, and this one all over the lid. This one is in Raspberry Rave, and this is Clementine Fine. It's an all-day liquid shadow. You can build this up on top of itself, so I really like that. Like, build the intensity up. It also blends out with a brush really nicely, so super easy to apply. These come in such a variety of different shades. These have a little bit of sheen to them, but they don't have any glitters or sparkles, whereas this one has a lot of like pearls in it. This one is in Come Through Coconut. I want to say these come out maybe a little bit textured on the lid, at least this white shade, because it has pearls. Not exactly glitters, but definitely pearls in it. So if you don't mind a little bit of texture, I think these are good. Just a really simple formula to work with. This is the last group here. These are all of my sticks. Some of them are a little bit different. I wouldn't say this milk one is necessarily a stick. It's the Color Chalk in Dodgeball. I really like this. It has like a sparkly kind of coat to it. It's just basically a thing of chalk, but I think it's pretty. It's, you know, like a powder finish. So it's basically like a pressed powder formula, but I think it's really beautiful color. Super easy, like convenient formula, kind of gimmicky and weird, but I think it works. And then this one is a little bit different. This is the KVD Dazzle Stick in the shade Force Field. This is a creamier product, so I would suggest kind of only rolling up like what you're willing to put down, because these do break pretty easily. It's a pretty emollient formula. Like, it's cold to the touch, but it's really easy to work with. Like, super simple, just very different, but beautiful and soft. Like, I really enjoy this formula. I have had different sticks. I've had a silver one before as well, so I've picked that up in multiple shades. These next ones here came from a set. These are from a brand called Luxaza. They do have like an Amazon storefront. These were sent to me in PR. These come in sets, like sometimes they come in 6 or 9. I think you can even get 3. I think they come in a variety of different like numbered sets. They come with a brush on one end that I actually really enjoy using. I use these brushes to apply these shadows all the time. I want to say this was Coral something was the color story of this set. And some of these are shimmery finishes and some of them are just straight matte. I want to say this is like a fully white matte. But yeah, I think these are immensely convenient to have this brush here. I thought maybe this brush would be a little bit gimmicky, but it's not at all. They're super easy to blend in. That's like a deep purple. They're really creamy, really opaque, super easy to work with. They don't skip like some of my stick shadows. Look, this is such a beautiful mauve shade to wear all on its own. You can layer these on top of each other and they build like depth. So you can get like a whole eye look, and they're super convenient for travel too. I want to say this one is a little bit of the shimmer finish These all have different shades, but I don't know if you can get them individually. They just kind of have numbers. This one is 183. I want to say this is a fully matte finish. No, this is another one that's a shimmer. These are good. Like, you get a variety here of shimmer and matte finishes, a brightening shade if that's something you like. You can wear these on their own. Again, layering them up also works. I really enjoy this color story. Like, this is a color story in a palette that I would just absolutely love. Highly recommend these. I think they were totally worth getting. I thoroughly enjoyed these. I have one mini from Laura Mercier. It's one of her caviar sticks, and this is an amethyst. I want to say this is probably her most popular shade. Let's swatch it down here. Beautiful taupey one and done. Like, can't get better than that. These are creamy and super easy to work with and blend in. These are like super beginner friendly sticks. This one here is an indie brand called Pinky Rose. This is one of their jazz sticks. They come in sets. This one has a little bit of a shimmer finish to it. They have like a base stick, a jazz and base stick, so you can get two. I think this one came from a set and I ended up decluttering the other shade. It just was too deep. It was that deep brown that I told you guys I just don't love on me, but I kept this one. This one is beautiful, super creamy, easy to work with, rivals some high-end ones and performs better than these ones from Milani. I think these ones from Milani, a lot of people like. I had the hardest time blending them in and one of them came broken. I want to say this one just fully popped out. Yeah, it was this one. I didn't love this formula. I was like, nope, pass, no thank you. It just, I think, got really patchy when I was applying it, so didn't love it. Both of these have a little bit of a shimmer finish. I do not recommend this. If I'm going to recommend any one of them to you, it's going to be the one from ColourPop. I think these are a tremendous formula. There's one other one in here I'll show you too that I recommend. So the shades from the Milani are Blossom and Canyon. I love the colors. I did not like the formula. Another formula I really didn't get along with were the ones from Rare Beauty. They're really pretty when they go on, and I think I gave them an okay review, but they're super patchy. Like, once you start blending them in, they're extremely stiff, so they're not really blendable. And a shade like this in, I want to say it's Compassion. This one is Integrity, that one is Compassion. I'm just not a huge fan of these. I like them in theory, like how opaque they are and how creamy they feel. But yeah, once you start blending them in to the eye with like a brush or something, they start losing their opacity and looking a little bit patchy. And then you got to keep building and building and building. And this isn't just like with my finger, which ideally you would be able to blend these in with your finger, but it happens with a brush. I hate it. Like, I don't think it's a good formula. I feel like a lot of people like these, but the caviar stick is better. The Pinky Rose is better. The two sitting to my left are better. And this one, if I wanted to wear it all on its own and just kind of like tap it in and like not blend it in, it would look nice because it's a lighter lid shade. The problem is it looks super textured on the lids. Like, it adds a ton of texture. So I think these were close. I just don't think they were great. This one from ColourPop, I can highly recommend this. This is such a good formula. Super simple, Socialite Metallic. It's creamy, but easy to blend in and holds its opacity. Like, can you get better than that? I mean, I don't know. I just think this is a superior formula. I also think this is a superior formula. This is one of the NYX Jumbo Sticks. This is in the shade Lemon Meringue. Just easy, simple, good for the price point. This one is like even the creamiest, but yeah, just an easy formula to work with and doesn't do weird, like, skippy things like these ones do. So that was it, you guys. That was everything. All of my singles, all of my single sticks. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If I missed any shade or I called it out too quickly or it just wasn't clear and you're interested in knowing, please let me know in the comments and I will be happy to come up here and get the shade for you guys. I'm out of here and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Bye, guys.